Now, moving on to the next thing, Rick Ross. Huh? Huh? Two things with Rick Ross. First, Rick Ross and Gunplay seem to be going at it right now. You know, Gunplay feels like when he was signed to MMG, that when it was time for him to get his solo project, he didn't get the support that he deserved. You know, he feel like he had a hit record out, and he feel like MMG dropped the ball and left him out there, and his career suffered. But Rick Ross, he replied to the allegations that Gunplay saying, you know, they just dropped him or whatever. Let me see if I can find the video with Rick Ross talking about it. Yeah, there you go. I don't believe. Toast to the hustlers worldwide. Luke Belair, the finest bubbles. The world know about the car show. Y'all know the car show June 13th. Y'all know that's the biggest car bike event of the world. Slippery Soap sponsors, the biggest hustlers, the biggest entrepreneurs, the biggest money getters from around the world come together at the Promised Land. 350 acres, Fayetteville. Shout out to the A-Town. All the real Georgia boys. You know Florida gonna be in the building. The list too long. RickRossCarShow.com. RickRossCarShow.com. Get your tickets. Listen, man, you only got one life to live. You can't miss this one. This will be the fifth Rick Ross Car Show. God willing. And guess what? If you miss the first four, man, you better be there this go round. And shout out all the big key holders and the big winners. Y'all know what it is, man. We're going to do it big. I'm going to see y'all there. Ricky Rose. Boss. No, that ain't the video. I remember seeing an interview. I'm not. I might have told you before. Where is that? Rick Ross basically said that it wasn't him. Here you go. I got number love for him, but the situation you're talking about was saying wasn't no budgets enough, and not laughing at my little bro's situation because I got number love for him, but the situation you're talking about was saying wasn't no budgets enough like that. The distributor had done dropped you. They ain't want nothing to do with you. MMG just ain't give you the bad news. We told you just keep working, just keep grinding. Don't stop, don't quit. Yeah, that's how it goes. When they don't want to spend no money on you, ain't no more budget. You ain't have a manager or none of that. So they ain't tell you. And I ain't want to break your heart. I want you to keep hustling. I always say you're not breaking from being on top. Put in 20 years of hard working, and when you meet a hoe, y'all start kissing on love and hip hop and throw the 20 years away. You know, when niggas fall in love, they say hoes lawyers and they don't be lawyers and they just. How you feeling now? That's how I feel. Yeah. So I know how it go. I feel it. I feel you. streets. Yeah, like you said, get back in the streets and turn up. Let's go get it. And not laughing at my little bro situation. So basically, I'm gonna tell you where I don't agree with Rick Ross. Right? He's saying that the distributor, which would be Def Jam, is the one that dropped him, and he just ain't want to tell him because he didn't want to break his heart. Me personally, I feel like that's like Jay-Z and Memphis Bleak. You know what I'm saying? That's like uh Dr. Dre and Snoop, you know what I'm saying? Or Suge and Snoop, or Jermaine Dupri and the Brat, right? If the distributor don't want to put out your records and they drop you, and you sign to, if you the Brat, you sign to So Def and Arista wants to drop you, or if you Dre and Suge and Interscope want to drop you, but you signed to Death Row, or you Jay-Z and Def Jam wants to drop Bleak and you signed him to Rockefeller. And Rick Ross case, you signed Gunplay to MMG, right? Maybach Music Group. And y'all had a distribution deal with Def Jam. If Def Jam wanted to drop, or if Def Jam was dropping Gunplay, in my opinion, it's Rick Ross' place to sit Gunplay down and be like, yo, look, homie, I know I brought you in the game. I signed you. We ran around the world. We did this, we did that. We went through these beefs together with these dudes, so and so and so and so. You know what I'm saying? Yo, homie, the distribution company, they don't want to put your music out no more. They dropped you. I just feel like Rick Ross, if you signed him, bro, you saying that you didn't tell him because you didn't want to break his heart and you wanted him to keep hustling. I don't think that was G, my nigga. Keeping it a beam, you know what I'm saying? And I felt like I feel like if you would have told him, instead of you saying you didn't want to break his heart, you probably breaking his heart by not telling him and just leaving him in the dark and letting him figure it out for himself and not knowing what's going on, instead of sitting them down and be like, yo, this is the deal. So he can figure out where his next step is moving forward. Because if you brought him into the house, you know, you should be the one to open the door to let him out. Don't let the Leos or whoever just put their foot in his butt and kick him out the door. Like, or like the Fresh Prince of Bel Air, just jazz him and just throw him out the door. Like, at least you could put your arm around the corner, around his shoulder, and walk him to the door. Like, yo, baby, bro, it's over. This is where the your run ends right here. Like, he from your hometown. You brought him in. You signed him. You found it. You saw his talent. Like, for you to say, yo, I didn't tell you because I didn't want to break your heart. What kind of big homie is that, bro? Like, what kind of big homie is that? I'm pretty much sure when Bleak got let go from Def Jam or Rockefeller, Jay-Z at least had the conversation with him. Because I remember when um I think it was State Property, all the members from State Property, when it was over, Jay sent Lenny S to let everybody know that it was over, that they was dropped. He didn't he didn't let Leo and them tell him, you know what I'm saying? But at least he sent somebody that they knew, the A&R guy, with a message from Jay, at least to say, and I ain't here to defend Jay, but when
when the dude is right, then he's right. You know what I'm saying? But you know, um, he sent the kite. He sent Lenny S to tell these guys personally that it was over. He didn't go and tell them. You know what I'm saying? His scary ass. But he sent Lenny S to tell them, and but that's how it is. Even Dame wouldn't allow uh a Leo and them to drop anybody, and they tell them they're yo, we not messing with a Jewels, or we not messing with anybody that's on the Rockefeller, and Dame don't sit down and tell them yo, they don't want to put your music out. He's not gonna do that. He's not gonna say, oh, I didn't tell you because I ain't want to break your heart. Like, come on, Rick Ross, man. You gotta have you gotta take some accountability in that. And if that was your homie, and then you sit here trolling him, talking about he fell in love with some chick and she was a fake lawyer, and you on Love and Hip Hop, kissing her in the mouth. Now you antagonizing the dude. Now you sitting there teasing him while you in this big ass pool, is still on with all this money. He signed to you and stuff, ride or die for you, and you tell him you didn't want to tell him because you didn't want to break his heart. It sounds like you a little upset that uh he fell in love with the chick. And some dudes can be a sucker for love, but you learn, you live and you learn. But for Rick Ross to say that, yo, I ain't tell you because I didn't want to break your heart. Nigga, what? You signed me to the label. How you don't want to tell me? That's crazy, bro. That's crazy, man. But to each his own, man. To each his own. I wouldn't have did him like that. Like, I'm sorry. I'm gonna keep it a bean. Like, if I brought you to the label and I signed you, it's no way I can't have that conversation with you, especially when you calling yourself a real one. You know what I'm saying? Like that's come on, Rick Ross, man. I I I would think that you would you would have more class than that, man. You wouldn't just sit here and tease the dude. Somebody he fell in love with the chick, kissing her on Love and Hip Hop. But uh, to each his own, man. To each his own, man.